Yes.
Keep us on task.
Wipe the laughter.
Yeah,
from
yeah.
your eyes.
yeah.
If I could get
So
my
anyway-
cape too, that'd be.
Anyway, like I was telling the prince, you know,
In this very businesslike and professional story.
Very.
yes.
Welcome to the 11th hour, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I am your host for the day, Army Staff Sergeant Michael Sword. With me is the, hold on, Media Relations Aficionado for the 11th Airborne Division, Mr. John Pinnell.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. The Chief Operating Officer of Community Relations for the 11th Airborne Division, Mr. Derek Crawford. And the Chief of Command Information and a guest today, rather than a co-host, Ben Wilson.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
AKA the bearded man.
The bearded
Oh,
man.
yes, the bearded man.
Which is
Some
actually-
call me the bearded
This is
man.
unofficial.
So today's show is a little bit different. Our initial guest kind of dropped out at the last minute.
At the 11th hour.
At the literally the 11th hour. How long have you been saving that?
Too long.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. No, but I think it's a good opportunity to kind of highlight some of the people that work in our office, number one. But number two, as a division, we are kind of a unique place to work, and that includes the people who work here. Mr. Pinnell has been our media relations manager for how long?
Since Christ was a corporal.
So a few years then?
Yes.
Yeah. So what is it that you do here, Mr. Pinnell?
Well, my main goal is to keep my face off television as much as possible. Because if I'm the guy that's out there talking, it's because something has gone terribly wrong. What I like to do is have the soldiers come out and tell their stories, because they are they're what we're here for, is the soldiers. So I like to get them out in front of the camera to show America, you know, the quality of youth that we have who are volunteering to come in and spend some time with us, whether they stay for a career or whether they just make it a 2 or 3 year trip around the sun. You know, they're either way, they're raising their hands, volunteering, which is something I think a majority of folks in the United States haven't done. So,
And being in Alaska is probably not the easiest assignment out there.
it may not be the easiest, but it's definitely, I think, most challenging. I did 22 years in uniform and stationed various locations wherever the Army has sent me, and I've never found a place that I liked as much as Alaska. It's just a great challenge every day.
It seems to be that you either love it or you hate it, and there's not too much in between.
Well, there's some people who love to hate it. And it's like chocolate ice cream. It's not for everybody.
It's not.
No,
For sure.
no, I'm positive
Okay.
because I hate it.
Really?
Yes, vanilla. Vanilla is my
wrong,
flavor.
man.
What?
Vanilla good.
It's not a.
That's
If you
wrong.
give me,
Hold-
you offer me some
No.
good Tillamook Oregon strawberry, like I will take that over chocolate any
Yes,
day.
no questions asked. Mr. Crawford, you are also an Army vet, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yes, you are.
And how long have you been in Alaska?
So I've had 2 stints here. First in active, when I was on active duty, from 2008 to 2010, I was here. And then we returned 2019. I've been here, so about 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you love it? Do you hate it? Or do you love to hate it?
It depends on which part of it. Yeah, but
Okay.
all things considered, I love it. You know, I can't
Extreme
back.
cold. Love it or hate it?
I love it.
Okay. Bears going through your trash.
Hasn't happened, but I like the idea that I can see it. Yeah, you just can't see that anywhere else, right?
That's true.
At least
That's
not where I've been. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
We get stray cats in Texas, stray dogs,
Cowboys.
cowboys. Yeah,
Cowboys,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we get a lot of cowboys, and then so yeah.
Yeah.
For me, just to
Stray bears and moose.
stray
are just-
bears, moose. Yeah, yeah. I don't need a personal encounter, but I enjoy the idea.
Do you enjoy being around the Army now that you're not in uniform?
Yeah, I can't lie and say that it wasn't the reason I came back, and the reason I came into the GS, become a civil servant, is that drawback to being near and dear to the community from which I came.
Right.
So yeah, it's great to be a part of a military organization without being in the military.
And I do have some questions about back in your day. We'll get to there. We'll get there eventually.
I don't know if I can remember the answers to it, but
Come on, it wasn't that long ago.
yeah.
All right, Mr. Wilson.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah. Formerly of all over the place, the Coast Guard,
True.
etc. And how long have you been up here?
We're knocking on November, so coming up on 2 years.
Love it, hate it, love to hate it.
Absolutely love it.
Really?
It's fantastic.
Is it the stray moose and bears that do it for you also? Or?
Oh, they're pretty cool too. Yeah. I like them. I like the cold. I like the summer. I like the mountains. I like the tundra. Caribou, bears, moose,
a
porcupines,
location made for you.
Wolverines. It's all fantastic.
Because you, correct me if I'm wrong, you moved here from Texas, right?
Yes.
How was the weather change? And I'm sure it's the same for you.
Oh, that's right.
Man.
That's right.
So
Texas in the house.
I drove. It was during the early days of the COVID pandemic closures. And when I took off, it was a 90-ish in the Garland, Texas area. When we went through Wichita Falls, it was 113. And then
What?
the coldest we saw on our journey up was at that place. It's close to the border in Canada where there's a gas station, Beaver Creek, I think. It was
Maybe.
negative 37. So like that was the temperature swing
Well,
we saw from
the
there
time
to
you
here. It was pretty extreme.
no.
But it was Canadian cold.
That's true. It was Canadian cold.
It was Celsius, no big deal.
You have to make an adjustment.
Random science fact.
Yeah.
When you get to negative 40, that's the same. Celsius and Fahrenheit.
Really?
Yep.
Yes.
Does it ever meet on the way up?
Smart.
Both of them are cold.
No, and that's why I enjoy having Ben around. He's our local scientist for whatever random thing comes up. Have you guys been through what's that place called? Devil's Lake in North Dakota?
I have not.
Because we drove, my wife and I, and the 2 kids and the 2 cats in the car, drove here from Maryland. And that was one of the places we ran through. And I have never been so, let's say, enthusiastically greeted by mosquitoes as that particular location.
You should spend more time in Fairbanks in the summer.
Yeah, I hear. It's, I don't know, just swarms of them moving just
They will
everywhere.
swarm behind your vehicle as you're driving on the road.
What?
And then when you stop, they just all gang around on the windows. It's really scary sometimes.
We didn't see that. I mean, even going through Canada as they started to cloud around, there was never got that bad.
Here's something you may not know is the Black Hawk helicopters up at Fort Wainwright, they have to cover them over at night during the summer to keep the mosquitoes from mating with them.
What? Okay, hold on. Are you serious? I can't tell if that punchline was like legitimate or just you got me hooked in. And then you dropped it.
As serious as I am about just about anything. Of course, at Fort Polk, we had the same problem with the tanks and the cockroaches.
Yeah, I believe that.
That's where armadillos come
You
from.
can't shoot them. You can't microwave them.
Helicopter
That's where
mosquitoes.
armadillos come from, man.
Mr. Crawford, how long were you in uniform?
26
And what did you do?
And a little change.
26?
Yeah. 26 and some change. So, so lifelong, well, not lifelong, but my career was public affairs. So I was a public affairs soldier and was able to make my way through the ranks and ended as a CSM at I would say the American Forces Network, Europe. Yeah, I was going to say armed. We all, because it used to be, so I have old memories.
Back in your day.
Yeah, but so I've been telling the Army story for 20-something.
For a good while.
For a good while. It's a great story.
So our job occasionally puts us in some places to meet some people.
Oh yeah,
Who's the most famous person you ever met?
James Brown. James Brown. So
How?
when I was a staff sergeant stationed in Fort Gordon, Georgia, James Brown was, had his records headquarters, his company headquarters there, and so he would hold a event every year for military, like a military appreciation
Oh, really?
cookout.
Cool.
Yeah, so
That's cool.
we arranged
Yeah.
to go down and interview him, and he accepted and had the greatest interview I've ever been a part of.
Please tell me more.
Greatest interview.
How? Just walk me through that interview.
Yeah, so we come in, and he's in full entertainer,
Right. Like
makeup
the whole-
on, hair done, coiffed, got his little suit with the vest, and so we go into like a conference room to do his interview, and he starts eating soup. He's eating soup twice. I was talking to him. Yeah. So, and he's explaining all this about his family history, and he claimed that his grandfather was Chinese.
Okay.
That was
Really?
that was
True.
the most important part, the most interesting part of the interview.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but it was a great experience. I mean, the fact that he was willing to come and it was a couple of us who went down for the interview, and so to let us come do that and hold that event every year, it was great. It was great, and it's something that one of the many things that I think that I've benefited from being part of the public affairs. We just get to do a lot of fun stuff. Talk to
Sounds
a lot
like
of
it.
Interesting people. So yeah.
What'd you do in the Coast Guard, Ben?
Mostly I drove boats.
Boat captain, or how does that work?
My rating was a bosun mate. I drove big diesel boats in usually heavy weather.
To what end? You just like moving things, drug busts? Like, what are you doing?
Most of the time it was search and rescue.
Okay.
Search and rescue related. We also had to do some safety boardings and stuff like that.
Did you ever board like a big yacht or something?
I did. I boarded a yacht which belonged to the Adolphus Augustus Bush family, formerly owners of Anheuser-Busch.
Really?
Yeah, it was a pretty sweet yacht.
I bet it was.
I can imagine. Was it painted red and white? Or blue and white, I guess?
No, it was
No. Just,
white, one gold stripe down the side.
huh.
Cool people.
Yeah. So what do you, like, you just go on and be like, hi, I'm here from the government, I'm here to help?
Yeah,
Or-
well, first, like, we were trying to catch up with, and like, we're at this freaking diesel boat doing like 19 knots of justice, and they're just like, "Brrr," like trying to catch up to them. We're like hailing them, trying to get them on the radio. Eventually, I guess one of them like got bored and looked behind them. Oh, hey. So then they slowed down, let us come alongside.
Mr. Pennell, were you public affairs also?
Yes.
Do you have a famous person story?
I have a couple. I got to photograph Stevie Ray Vaughan playing the national anthem in 1985 for the opening game of the Houston Astros baseball season. Oddly enough, if you go out on YouTube, you can see some amateur video, which I can identify myself in, but you probably wouldn't be able to because it's very fuzzy. It's from 1985.
Right.
Obviously somebody's VHS tape, and I'm there kneeling on the pitcher's mound taking his picture while he's doing it.
That's super cool.
Now, odd question for the both of you. Did you guys have to shoot on the VHS cameras? Or
Well, I was always a still photographer.
okay. How does that work in the field? Because obviously you can't take a dark room with you.
Well, they did have transportable darkroom setups. I know I had one of my good friends who was in Somalia at the time of the Black Hawk Down incident, who was processing slide film using water from a mud hole that they heated over a campfire. So it's
Wow.
you do what you got to do.
So film versus digital.
I would always choose film I prefer, I guess, the craftsmanship of working with the negatives.
On that point.
Yeah.
So, aside from quality, I want to see if we share this feeling. How did it feel the first time you went out with a digital camera and realized that you didn't have to worry about your shots? How many shots or what you packed with you?
Well, I mean, except for the SD cards are what, like 256K or something.
Here's the deal. I was a teacher at the Defense Information School, and I was teaching the intermediate photojournalism course when we started developing the first program of instruction for
We don't talk about
for digital
So he's the boy.
for digital photography. So we started out using Kodak Digital Camera System 200, which was a Nikon body with a Kodak computer attached to it. I also have used the original Kodak Digital Camera System, which was a Nikon body that had like an umbilical cord that ran to a computer that you carried over your shoulder.
What?
The great thing about the career field is you get to experience such a wide, a wide spectrum of what the Army offers as far as jobs. You go out, I go flying with the helicopters, I go driving around and shooting things with the tanks or with the infantry and their APCs or the Stryker vehicles, or the only thing I didn't do is I didn't jump out of an airplane. With the paratroopers, unfortunately, I injured myself in airborne school and wasn't able to complete that. So, that's one aspect that I really wish I had done. My dad was airborne when he was in the military. In fact, he was a member of the 11th Airborne Division when he was in. He was a paratrooper, and his claim to fame was he never landed in any aircraft that he ever took off in.
Branch manager question.
Okay.
You ever send somebody somewhere because you didn't like them?
I'll say no. And the
You'll say
reason
no.
is because it's funny. Now you say that. I never had.
See, that's just not his personality. He likes everybody.
That's crazy that you say that. Because I don't recall doing any assignments for anybody I do. I can't think of anybody who I didn't like.
Did you ever have any those wild phone calls by, I need your help?
I had some crazy phone calls they were doing, and I think one of the funniest ones had to do with Alaska. So there was a young man who was stationed at Bragg, and he was put on orders to Alaska. And he called saying, "Hey, look, I understand the Army wants me to go. I'm a soldier. I go where I'm needed. But
However,
I think there's been a mix-up. There's no way I can serve in Alaska. I'm from the Caribbean." I mean, so he was like serious about this. He just could not. He had to just impress upon me that you got the wrong guy, right? There's no way. I'll die if I go. So look, I feel your pain. But, however, you'll be okay. Right. And this was before I had been stationed here, so I didn't have any.
No frame of reference.
No frame of reference other than, hey, dude, hey,
you'll make it.
We're off from somewhere else. Hey, but yeah.
And then you get here, you're like, oh.
So having John, I thought about it. Okay, he never said anything bad about it. He always wanted to go. Then I met other people, and everybody I met had something good to say. Nobody ever mentioned the cold. It's like, it's cold.
Yeah.
Right. What are we going to mention that for? But, right. It's like, you go to Texas, it's hot. Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I want to see what that's like. Because everything I heard was good. Yeah. And sure enough, boop, my experience was the same. It was good. And so, without even knowing that, I was not listening to that. Yeah. So I guess for me, I was like, man, I just don't want to be unfair to somebody.
Right.
So I tried to, based everything on what we were supposed to, the needs of the Army, your availability, these different factors.
Mr. Wilson,
Yep.
you have actually done some other random civilian stuff that's not
Let's talk.
so military adjacent.
Let's see. So I actually joined kind of late in life, 26. And prior to that, I'd been a IT administrator for a company that worked with the Southern Oregon School District. I'd already run my own company, done a bunch of stuff, gotten married, and decided to join.
Why not?
And then after I got out, I kind of went back to doing the same stuff. A lot of software development. Done a lot of stuff, worked on a lot of apps, made a few video games, did some stuff.
I like how he does that.
Some stuff, some things.
Yeah. Not trying to go through my resume here,
Right.
you know.
I mean, this could lead somewhere. Here's the thing:
am
the civil
here.
service is not where you go to get rich. So,
Right. The civil service is not where you go to get rich. However, I feel like most of us are here, definitely myself included, not because we need to be here, but because we want to be
There
here.
you go.
Like, you join the civil service because you want to join.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I joined because honestly, I worked with, like in the private sector, I worked with only 2 other dudes who had been in the military. And those were the 2 people I could speak with on a candid, casual basis.
Yeah.
right.
Everybody else, I was always trying to figure them out. Like, I mean, after, even a decade in, it forms you. It forms your brain.
You're right.
So I'm trying to be honest about, like, I don't understand what you want. Why are you telling me that you need to feel this campaign more? And I'm like, what? Just tell me what you want. Use words. Nothing. Huge
understand?
communication gap.
So to that point, because I mean, I've been in long enough that like my brain is definitely wired that way. Do you feel like there's something to a couple years in the military, regardless of what you're going to do, that gives you that potential to be like just a very clear, concise, like this is what it is and what I'm after, rather than
Oh, totally.
you need to feel this
Absolutely.
campaign time.
I feel like with very few exceptions, almost every profession in the military at some point, maybe public affairs is an exception to this, but at some point in your career, you're going to run into those life or death situations. And it may not be super dramatic life or death situations, but you gain the skills to be able to communicate directly and with immediacy. And that's not something that every area of the private sector deals with. Very few, in fact.
Right.
So often,
And a lot of our communication directly and immediately involves 4-letter words.
absolutely true.
And that's a huge appeal for me
Yeah.
It's very clear to the
to
point.
serving with the military. I love soldiers.
I feel like it's like adding exclamation points.
Yes.
Like, I mean, some people throw it in like seasoning. Like, if I need to add another exclamation point, then
It's going to say it louder or drop another one.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and this is my own personal curiosity. The whole business is war mindset, is that like, does that bother you?
I had a CEO at a company that I worked for that insisted that everyone's monitors sit right at the level of their eyebrows. So he could just walk down the aisle and see 4 heads. Now, I don't know why anyone would ever want that. I don't like the look of 4 heads. Like, the forehead is not my favorite part of the human body. In fact, I would choose to like put those things up so I don't have to see your faces.
He
However-
probably wanted to see. He could see who if somebody was not at the desk without them seeing that he was watching.
Probably right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh, I know that forehead. It's missing.
There's a missing forehead.
I bet
Yesterday there was 6 foreheads in this row.
What about guys like me who have 5 heads?
Guess it's like 4 foreheads and 1 5-head. I don't know. Like, I mean, I got a 5 head, so
Yeah, me too. It's
No,
an
you got a
optical
6 head.
illusion.
got a 6-head.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, anything that would just pump me up a little bit more?
See, I told you, he's such a positive guy.
Yeah.
He does. He likes everybody. Likes everything.
Did it come back to
Yeah,
burn you in like
that's
basic
amazing.
training or something?
No,
No?
never did.
They find something else to.
Something else. Yeah. So I showed. I found a picture when I was visiting home. My mom had it. I brought it back, and I scanned it and sent it to my daughters, and they was like, "Ooh, Daddy, you were losing your hair when you were an infant," because it was like it was back here already, right?
It's cold.
Cold blooded, man. But I was like, yeah, I see that. I did have a lot of,
man.
I had a lot of acres up there. I had that.
But just think how much money you saved on hair products.
So you guys are all plank holders, right?
Who?
Plank holders.
Oh,
Yes.
plank
Yes.
holders. Yeah.
I was like, plank
Plank
holders?
holders.
Yeah, I
Plank
was like,
holders.
yeah.
Sorry,
Now,
that's
I like playing in the
All
cold.
those-
Sorry, allow me to enunciate.
Some knocks.
You say that again.
You three are all plank holders. And actually,
Yes.
by the sound of it, you have multiple planks.
I've been around.
Yeah.
It's not my first rodeo.
Which one of you wants to explain what a plank holder is?
Okay. A plank holder is a nautical tradition in which, in the days of wooden ships, the initial crew of a ship would receive a title or at least a metaphorical hold of one plank of the ship when the ship was decommissioned. So if you're that crew that actually sets that thing afloat, hopefully, the first time, you're a plank holder. So everybody in this division who stood this baby up, except for those people who came along afterward.
Right after.
Yeah, they're plank holders.
Plank holders.
How does that feel? Is that like a cool, I was here for it, or is like, do you get a sense of
The Army
ownership
doesn't
or
stand
history
up a
or-
division every day. I mean, that's something I've been in more divisions that have gone away than have been created. Put it that way. My first division was the 5th Mech, and it is no more. My second division was the 6th Infantry Division. It is no more. So to be part of a division that's coming, not going, that's kind of cool.
Mr. Crawford?
Yeah, I agree. This is pretty cool. So I never had the honor of serving in a division when I was in uniform. So to be here and to hear the rumblings, like you've been hearing this for a long time. We're a division. We need to be a division. We should be a division. They should. So, and I never really thought it would happen.
Right.
So to see it actually happen and to be here when it did, and then to get the certificate, yeah, that's cool. It's pretty cool. Even though we all, at least we didn't know what the plank holder part was. We had to, so we had to go to our
Sea services.
Yeah, our coaching
and
brother
everything.
to get that,
Is this the only plank you have,
Yeah.
Ben?
I mean, it's the only good one. Like I was at some different places, like some various acronym places around DC, but it wasn't like, it was never like, oh, we're actually creating something. It was just like, here we have the Schmishmcom, and we're turning it into the Schmishmcom.
Okay.
That's not cool.
Right.
So I just kind of keep those in. I have a art case full of like old random things. Like after I'd already graduated with a degree in photography, the Coast Guard felt like it was a good idea to have me go through a Photoshop class. So I've got a certificate
Yes.
of Photoshop. I was like,
yeah.
thank you, Uncle Sam. This is the most salient thing for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for dropping by. Mr. Pennell, Mr. Crawford, Mr. Wilson. It's good to have you. This has been a great show. Thanks for a lot of enlightening chat on a myriad of subjects. And thank you all for listening. Like, subscribe. Is there more? Like,
Share?
subscribe, share. That'd be cool. And yeah, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, or otherwise about the show, send them. This has been the 11th Hour.
Cool.